It wasn't in my car with a guy like looking really like the actor The Rock, wearing a bulletproof jacket. Well, the Cannonball run for me was just like the coolest thing that ever happened on Earth. Underground race from New York to LA, it's speed, endurance, everything underground. Well, happened 4 times. We were not born. That's a pity. And but still, I like the way to keep the heritage of it. Somehow, it's something money can't buy. You know, you have all these rallies and stuff. Like the guys, they think they are racing, and well, we know the story. But this is actually racing. Well, racing against yourself and the clock, because well, the only way nowadays is to leave the Red Bull, arrive at the Portofino, and that's it. As Rick Kopech said when he took part to the 1979, the last edition of the Cannonball, he justified his entry saying his employer that it was like the Olympics for speeding or for driving. So it's kind of something like that, yeah. So my story with the Cannonball run actually started in 2013. The year before, I had been driving coast to coast for the first time on the Gumball 3000, but it was 1 week. It was New York, Toronto, Indianapolis, Kansas City, Santa Fe, Las Vegas, Los Angeles. 1 week is easy. It was my first time driving coast to coast in the Rally Fighter. First car made on open source, and this year I was repping the number 144. That was my friend Alex Roy's number. I didn't ask for it, it was random. I found it was funny, you know, a bit like having Maradona's number 10 in Napoli or so. The year after, Ed Bollian, Dave Black and Dan Huang, they released their 2850 record. So I remember reading it in one airport. I had been invited to Ken Block's Gym Canagrid in Madrid. I remember on the plane, I've decided to go actually. So it was quite, the next thing was to choose a car. It was pretty obvious for me after the Beamer and the Mercedes that it would be an Audi, because I'm Audi enthusiast since their rally days back in the days when I was a kid with the Quattro and all. It would be an Avant because I love their long roofs. An RS4 would be my first choice, but you could not really find any, or RS6 or RS4 in the US. So. But Audi was also good at doing diesel. So, and actually a friend of mine won Le Mans 3 times with them with a TDI technology. So for obvious range reasons, it would be good. So I've decided myself for the 3-liter V6. I just started looking for this car in the US. It was absolutely impossible, because if you don't have RS4, RS6, you don't have this much either. So. I've been looking around for 1 year. I didn't find nothing. So as I live in Europe, I decided to find a car in Europe to test the car around. I found a super rare version of Audi A4 Avant Apt. It's normally this V6 232 horsepower that they took to beyond 300 with a serious look of an RS4. I love this car. I've tested the car, shipped the car to Rally Fighter's warehouse where they built the additional tank. Pretty much everything was ready, and my co-driver that I had planned, he's been caught by the police. He had to stay quiet for 2 years. I could not wait, so I was already planning for a couple of years. So I've called Seth Rose straight away, because Alex introduced us, because he was crazy about the project, about the car. I remember when we met the first time, we had his prepared S8 and my Avant. He was like, that's the solution, really. So we finally did a run on the 13th of October 2017. We left the Red Bull garage. Alex Roy was our witness. Everything was going pretty good. Well, on the first third of the course, some truckers blocked us on purpose, like for 20 minutes. First morning, it was going very well because we were pretty high actually, and Alex called at some point. He was tracking us through the GPS device that Skylab had put on board. And he called and said, well, according to my calculations, you're 25 minutes ahead of the record on the average, so keep pushing. So we kept pushing. But on the Saturday, the traffic was not really good. So it was slowing down a bit, and then we had 1 cop in Oklahoma. So Seth has been shouting, "Cop, cop!" So we had seen him. He was it wasn't in my car with a guy like looking really like the actor The Rock, wearing a bulletproof jacket. I could see him inside, and well, he was honking, flashing, whatever, but not pulling us over. And so I was like low profile, you know. And at some point he just took the exit and just came back, put the lights on and pulled us over. So that was not cool. Seth had some genius on that, and he said, he asked for the insurance, the papers, and Seth said, well, you know, officer, he said I was a bit lost between kilometers and miles, that I was not really speaking English, so that was pretty much a nightmare for him. And so the officer was like pretty surprised, and he said, Seth, okay, so you will drive. So we just switched. When I switched, I was behind the car, and he told me that's a rat car, you know. And we just left toward the only stop, because it was my calculations were actually right. And so we made the stop in Amarillo, Texas. The car was a diesel, so I had planned a big hole for the truck's pump to go way faster. So the whole thing was like less than 4 minutes to fill up on the paper. But when we stopped in Amarillo, all the trucks were queuing a line for the truck pump. So Seth told me I have to go to the John anyway, or it's gonna be bad. So I said, well, go to the John. I will fill up at the regular pump. I will have a pee as well, and we're gonna go. After this, we saw a big truck on fire on the other lane. So there was a bit of traffic, and there's always, as far as I know, a bit of traffic in Texas anyway. So, well, we had some, and after this, we had some technical problems again. We had no more turbo pressure. So you were like 120 or so miles per hour, and straight away no more pressure. So that's a problem. So putting on neutral, starting again, ignition again, and it could last like 10 minutes, 1 minute, 10 seconds sometimes. So it's been like this for quite a while. Now I know why this happened also, but the record was definitely going away. And so when we arrived at Portofino, the clock said 30 hours, 53 minutes. So it was still the second time in history, but I was not that happy about it because I was not going for that. After this, we had the chance to take the S8 because we had the second car. So here we were back again the next year on the 14th of September. I've received the invite for the C2C Express. I realized it was the weekend we had planned our run already, so I had to find an excuse to the organizer, say I had commitments and stuff. Alex Roy was still driving with Arnie and Ed in Ed's great Audi. And so Alex just came up, been our witness again. And actually after the first run, I was also pissed because I was only beating Alex. And actually I apologized to him because I was really feeling bad. He said, don't worry, it's fine. It's made to be beaten. And I found that was really, really, really fair play. Here we were again, and this time we had another Alex also at the start, the managing editor of Petrol Issues, Alexander Sobran. He came to like document, take photos and everything just in case. So we left 12 hours ahead of the first car of C2C Express. I did a navigation mistake at the beginning that got us 20 miles more on the route. And in Seth was teasing me about it, and actually in Pennsylvania he's been caught 120 miles per hour. So the officer was keeping us for half an hour. He said the calipers were red, so we've been watching each other and said they are painted red. You know, there was so much smoke also around because it jumped on the brakes when we realized. So well, we started this run with already half an hour break. So it was not ideal, let's say. And for the rest, not much problem. Well, we almost ran out of petrol at one stop, at the first stop actually. It did not happen in the end. Quite a good pace, except problem in St. Louis. The road was closed. And well, we just arrived and did the second time in history again. So it was 30:43 this time. And I think this made us the most successful team in the whole Cannonball history, which is good, but still not enough. A few hours after, the next day, the guys from the CTC Express were starting to arrive, and the organizer finally saw what my commitments were and has been laughing, and it was really good to hang around at the Portofino with like-minded people. Until the next time.
VINwiki is proud to be partnering with Mobile App Hero to continue changing the way we look at documenting automotive history. We're working with them to bring updates to our mobile and web-based app, so stay tuned to their social media and ours and keep telling the stories of all the cars you love.